Welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook here, breaking down the main slate here on Tuesday. We have 10 games worth of action that we're talking about here, James, man. A lot of pitchers, a lot of players, a lot of games, quality of pitchers.
Yep.
A couple of good ones. Such pitcher can get us through the evening without giving up 6 earned runs. Because we've been right on some hands. We've been wrong on some others. Today's the day we right the ship when it comes to that SP2 spot.
John, first and foremost, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you, sir.
This is the week of John. Okay, I'm gonna keep saying that. It's John's wedding week. We are inching closer each and every day. So everyone in the comments, flood John all week with congratulatory messages. Well, hold on. We don't want Rebecca to run off the altar beforehand, but send John your best for his wedding upcoming. But so happy Tuesday, John. Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting slate. 10 games, lots of teams, lots of interesting. I think I'll go out on a limb. I know it's crazy saying that there is elite pitching talent at the top. Some in good spots, some not so much. There is, I think, a clear-cut value. One that I agreed on last night. One that the field thinks, John. I don't know if you've looked into some ownership tonight.
I've peeked a little bit.
But there is somebody that is very highly owned that you and I are going to discuss, and it's going to be a hot topic. And they might pitch for this team, that team. I am wearing my Aaron Judge jersey upon Judge's return to the lineup tonight. But yeah, it's an interesting slate. There's some weather that we have to pay attention to it in probably the game environment that we liked quite a bit, maybe the most last on this morning's podcast, and some interesting over-unders and spreads to take a look at as well.
Yep, 100% here. Let's get into that Vegas talk here, identifying the top spreads, top game totals, games that we're going to be keying in on, and then I'll give us the quick weather overview for everybody here.
So the New York Yankees they opened at minus 205, John. That number has ballooned drastically, and that is obviously due to Aaron Judge's return. There's nothing else that can move this line. It opened at 205. They're minus 290 on FanDuel Sportsbook tonight. 275 is the low. That's on DraftKings Sportsbook and BetMGM. But still, massive movement in that Yankees line that is obviously due to the return of the MVP from last year. Also, a little movement in favor of Charlie Morton and the Atlanta Braves. Open minus 173 now. Minus 188 over on FanDuel Sportsbook, minus 180 on DraftKings Sportsbook. We have Lucas Giolito minus 150, but that game is a little bit in peril. Sure. The San Francisco Giants also have had some line movement in their favor, going from minus 220 at open to minus 245 at DraftKings, minus 250 at FanDuel. So is the Seattle Mariners and George Kirby, minus 175 now, open minus 153. So there's been more movement today than there probably has been in some time. And obviously, when you get the return of a difference maker, that in case of the Yankees, that makes sense. But other games have moved as well. In terms of some over-unders, you and I talked about it on the podcast this morning. There were some games with 9 over-unders. Some of those I'm seeing a little higher. The Red Sox Atlanta opened at 9. It is at 9.5 on most sports books. It is at 10 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. Currently slight lean to the under 10, but still notable to see 10 runs there. The Dodgers and Brewers have ballooned to 9.5 across every sportsbook you can think of. So that's on the rise. So is San Diego, Minnesota. That's at 9.5 in some sportsbooks, 9 at others. So we've had some pretty significant movement all day long. Weird to see the White Sox and Royals dip from 9.5 to 9, considering how great that game environment has been in Kansas City. But John, leading you right into the weather.
Yeah, that's a game that we're kind of looking at here tonight. Some rain that's definitely in the area, and if it comes over to where the ballpark is, it could certainly cause an impact here. Again, we look over at our friends over at Roto Grinders. They got the Kevin Roth, great weather write-up report there, actual meteorologist, so he knows what he's talking about here. Trust him a little bit. Just kind of mentioning that there's a lot of rain in the area. Right now, it may not be around the park, but if it hits the park, it's going to cause a delay, maybe a postponement here. These are teams that are in the same division, so they can certainly find makeup days down the road. Right. If that game does play, we're looking at winds blowing in at 15 miles an hour, wet weather. So one of the reasons why we're seeing that total where it is now.
Yeah, I think that the part you said about the teams being in the same division is probably the most relevant, because if it was a team that they're not going to meet again during the season, they will try to make it work no matter what. Like they will but if they're just going to put, like, they just play a doubleheader today or, or tomorrow or a month down the line or 2 months down the line. So I think that's the most important part. So tip of the old ball cap for that mention right there.
Yep. And the other one, potential weather here, Minnesota, a game that could, cause a delay to begin, but something that they expect to play through. So, don't be too worried if there's a delayed start here. It seems like it should be fine. So those are the two weather games that we're really looking at. Houston, LA. We liked Shohei Ohtani, winds blowing out there, 10 to 15 miles an hour. And then you talked about, that Boston Atlanta game. As always, Georgia in the summer, potential for a little pop-up storm there, but winds are blowing out at 10 miles an hour there as well. So maybe leading to some of that increased production or expected run production in that game. Let's go ahead and start off at the pitching position. Those of you who are tuning in here today, if you have any questions regarding DFS, DraftKings, FanDuel, put them in the chat. We're more than happy to answer those for you. If you have any betting questions, prize picks, underdog, name it, put it in there. James and I are here to take you up for the next hour, talking this slate, however, which way you guys want to talk about it. So get involved, get in the action. If you don't already have the Fantasy Alarm All-Pro access here, the playbook is out by Howard Bender for today. You see the scroll down at the bottom, or if you're just listening in, you go to fantasyalarm.com/all-pro. Use promo code MLB50. You get 50% off the first 6 months. That's $19.98 a month for the first 6 months there. Takes you right through that NFL season beginning there. And we have a 7-day free trial right now as well. So you go ahead, fantasyalarm.com/all-pro. You sign up at code MLB50 and you get a 7-day free trial. You don't like what you see after 7 days, you can cancel, no charges, no problems. You can go back to doing whatever you're doing before. But odds are you'll stick with the family here. We got a great new Discord set up for everybody there as well. So housekeeping finished, James. Let's break into the slate. Shohei Ohtani is our top price pitcher. He is the top projected rostered starting pitcher here as well. Thoughts on this spot? $11,600, 10-game slate.
Yeah, so this year's Houston lineup is not the one that we've grown accustomed to in years past. Yes, they are down Jose Altuve, and yes, they have been missing some pieces throughout the year. I mean, Alex Bregman is playing every day, but you wouldn't know that.
Right. Yeah. Okay day last night.
He did have a good game, 2 for 4 with a triple. But hitting 205 on the year, 668 OPS. That kind of is what Houston is. 653 team OPS against righties this year. They're striking out a lot more than they have in years past, 23%, 24% if you want to round up. 12th highest mark in the league against righties. They're not hitting for power. That's something that we mentioned when we were talking about Jose Abreu early in the year. Like, he's hitting 4th. Yeah. He has not hit a home run yet this year.
Nope.
So, like, I'm perfectly fine getting to Ohtani as my top pitcher. There's plenty of value that we're going to talk about on the slate, 2 in particular, that one we're probably going to like and one we're probably not going to like. I love Ohtani at 11.6, and we talked about it on the pod. It's like, if you're telling me that my pitcher might only go 4 innings, he could potentially give up 4 to 5 runs and still get me 25 fantasy points.
Yeah.
There's how many people on the earth can do that? Like him and Jacob deGrom when healthy. Hunter Green. There's probably three guys like in baseball.
Yeah, 5 innings, 4 earned, 13 strikeouts, and that started against St. Louis there for 25 fantasy points. Listen, I agree. Top price guy, top start on the slate. everybody's playing him. Makes a lot of sense, kind of given the slate. You and I went back and forth on Logan Webb last night. It's hilarious that Anthony DeSclafani, after the first inning, was what, negative 12 fantasy points, something like that?
Yeah, 12.7, 12.7.
And yet he finished the night at 4.2 or something like that.
Yep.
So the first inning was the only thing that did him in.
Yep.
They had 7 hits, 6 singles and a double. He gave up only 10 hits total the rest of the way. All of that damage was done in the first inning for DeSclafani. So do we just run it back with Logan Webb here? I mean, again, I'm not the biggest Logan Webb fan. All of the numbers for Washington are pretty dreadful, with the exception of the fact that they don't strike out. So if Logan Webb goes out there and maybe strikes out 3 or 4, but gets better batted ball luck than DeSclafani did in the first inning, where they had 3 ground ball singles on him as well. Like, $9,500 for Webb could go out there and give you 20 fantasy points here tonight. The other problem that we have, though, is that the Giants are facing a lefty in Patrick Corbin. And we've seen the Giants they're just not hitting lefties at all. So is there even really win equity for Webb tonight?
So here's what we missed on, and not missed, we touched on it, but I have a number for you.
Sure.
To attach to our argument this morning. Attached really is to my argument, talking you into Logan Webb, because like you just opened with, like, you're still, I think, a little skeptical. Washington this year against right-handed pitching, John, have a 50% ground ball rate as a team. That is tops in the league by like almost 1.5%. Logan Webb does nothing but get ground balls. And I understand what you said. Like, 3 of those last night were infield hits, but that is sometimes just incredibly bad luck. Like, sometimes, I mean, how many infield hits?
Well, they were ground ball hits. They weren't all infield hits, but still, like, balls getting through the infield. Those are. It doesn't happen too often. Obviously there are a lot of line drives, extreme ground ball pitcher, like you said. But this is exactly what Washington does. This is what we talk. They have no ISO to speak of. They don't strike out. They just put balls in play. And last night in the first inning, 7 of those balls found grass, right? And it just ruined DeSclafani's night there. Logan Webb can throw all the ground balls he wants tonight, but if they're just through the middle or through the gaps, and it's not going to matter. I agree with you. Like, going back to Logan Webb makes a lot of sense here tonight. It's been now 2 years, though, that Washington is just a pesky, aggravating team.
So here's light at the end of the tunnel for your win equity, okay? Logan Webb won his last start. It was against Houston 6 days ago. Do you know who the pitcher was that night?
Framber Valdez.
Framber Valdez. Giants won 4-2. Framber lost. I'm not saying apples to apples. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying they did beat a lefty. That is a documented win against a lefty for the Giants.
Framber in that game, 6 innings, 2 earned. So they scored 2 runs off the bullpen.
Hey, but here's the thing. Like, if Anthony DeSclafani's first inning doesn't happen, and we obviously can't, that it did.
Right.
He had 17 fantasy points from innings 2 to right from 2 to 7.
Whenever he came out of the game.
Yeah, like,
he threw like 14 pitches in 3 innings.
Dude, it was. I mean, the same thing could happen here for a better ground baller, for just a better pitcher overall, a guy who doesn't put people on base like with walks. I'm not saying the Anthony DeSclafani treatment can't come to Logan Webb here, but I also think this is just a better spot for a pitcher that induces so much grounders for a team who literally has the highest ground ball rate in the league. It's hard for me to get to Webb, I think, because you and I have an opinion on a couple cheap guys that we're probably going to get to. One in particular that we keep alluding to, and using him and Ohtani, like, let's say that was the $3,600 is not like your most ideal roster construction. But I do think if you're not using Ohtani, I think Logan Webb is fine.
Yep. We do a promotional video clip basically every day during the middle of the day here from the podcast. Today we talked about Andrew Heaney and the matchup here against the Seattle Mariners and just sort of the Mariners' overall struggles this season. And now you have Heaney, who is a big time strikeout pitcher, not without his own warts. Obviously, you look at the game logs there. A couple of clean games, some not so clean games. The strikeouts are really kind of what stands out for him. This is a spot where, again, I'm kind of willing to run it back here. And Andrew, I mean, listen, John Gray last night, no problems going up against Seattle. That lineup didn't do anything to him. So a big strikeout pitcher in Andrew Heaney, the one knock on him is those home runs, man.
Yep.
He just gives up a lot of them. If he keeps the ball in the ballpark in a pitcher's park in Seattle, and that strikeout rate plays up against this Seattle team, I mean, there's some really strong upside here tonight.
Yeah, Seattle with the 4th highest strikeout rate in the league against left-handed pitchers. Number 2, the San Francisco Giants. Number 1, Milwaukee Brewers. Number 3, Minnesota Twins. I think all 3 facing a lefty tonight, by the way. No, Milwaukee is not. I think Milwaukee is the only team not facing a lefty.
Is Minnesota facing a lefty? Who's San Diego pitching today? No, Waka.
Oh, Waka. Well, he might as well be a lefty.
We'll be using lefties against him, sadly.
Yes, we will. Yes. So yeah, I like Seattle's, or I like the ability for strikeouts against Seattle's lineup. 152 ISO against lefties is 21st in the league. You mentioned it, like they do have guys that in the past, Eugenio Suarez, and Teoscar Hernandez, and AJ Pollock
has to wake up at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean they have a lot of guys that have a long history, not Julio so much, but like we know what the talent is, like of hitting left-handed pitching. So like that's scary, but that hasn't been the case this year. Sure. So I'm willing to get to Heaney, who 5th highest owned pitcher of the night, I think is a little interesting. I wasn't expecting the rostership to be so high. I might be a little less bullish on that seeing it. Because there's 5 pitchers getting double-digit ownership. Heaney's one of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are kind of moving their way around. I mean, for us, we didn't really care much for the mid-tier. We talked a lot, again, about, the Dodgers and their struggles against lefties. But, I'd rather play Heaney than Lauer tonight, right? Like, again, Lauer's had some good starts for sure this year. Speaking of Seattle, 7 2/3, 2 earned against Seattle in that game for him. 4 strikeouts, so lefty against Seattle having some success. But again, very dangerous lineup for the Dodgers against Lauer, but a lot of great numbers for lefties against the Dodgers here. We didn't care much else for the mid-tier, right? Like we kind of just dumped right down to the value. So we had Ohtani. We were okay with Framber Valdez if you wanted to pivot off of that spot. We were okay with Logan Webb, Andrew Heaney there, and then it was just value. So you alluded to your Yankee shirt. You alluded to a top expected rostered pitcher today. It's just the fact that he's facing Oakland, but I mean, Clark Schmidt's been horrible.
Yes.
For a lot of this year.
Yes.
And Oakland's hitting the ball well. So what are we missing here with Clark Schmidt? What are you and I personally, what are we missing that it seems like the projected rostership is high on him at 6K?
So, yeah, I mean, him and Ohtani are the 2 highest projected owned pitchers tonight, which I get. Like, we saw...
I don't get it.
We saw...
I don't get it at all.
So, here's what Clark Schmidt struggles with. Lefties. He struggles with lefties. That is, like, number 1 through 10 on the list of what he sucks against. Oakland, Ryan Noda hitting 2nd, JJ Bleday hitting 4th, and we'll talk about probably both those guys. Tony Kemp hitting 6th, and Jace Peterson hitting 8th. Those are their 4 lefties tonight. So, like, and I get Brent Rooker has been a freaking maniac.
Him and Astoria Ruiz.
And Astoria Ruiz, when he gets on it. Now, Astoria Ruiz against righties hitting just 258, so like a little left to be desired. And Clark Schmidt has been good against righties. Like, here's the split: 238 average for righties against Clark Schmidt. Lefties are hitting 400 against Clark Schmidt. They have a 1200 OPS against him. Yeah. Righties have a 690 nice OPS against him. Like, there is No reason. I don't know if Oakland has more lefties on their roster, but there should be as many as possibly can be in the lineup. Who's not in the lineup? Seth Brown's on the IL. He's not available. They really don't have lefties, huh? That's Connor Capel. He's back in AAA. Missed opportunity for Oakland here.
Just
That's
more lefties in the lineup.
the win equity is obviously, I mean, the way the Vegas odds have moved with
Yeah,
Aaron
all of their
Judge's
lefties are
return.
in their lineup tonight.
All their lefties are in the lineup. It's like, and they're good lefties. Like Ryan Noda's had a good season. JJ Bleday has played 5 games. He was a pretty solid prospect
Yeah.
at one point, and he's looked good this year. Jace Peterson's an okay player. Tony Kemp, we know, is what he is. That's why. Like righties, Clark Schmidt's not having problems with. If Brent Rooker doesn't hit a home run, it wouldn't shut. Like if he navigates lefties, he's fine. I don't know if he does because it's Yankee Stadium's short porch, but I'm not really in on testing those waters when there's a much highly sought after prospect, $1,500 cheaper. He's also 30% less rostered projected in Brandon Pfaadt than Clark Schmidt is. So, like, I am in no joke. If I were building 10 lineups tonight, I'm building one. I'm just playing single entries tonight. If I was building 10 lineups, John,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not like trying to, you know, how do I phrase? I'm not trying to like limit myself anywhere in terms of like my lineups. I just feel like in 10 of those lineup or every lineup that I'm spending down on, Brandon Pfaadt's just the better play overall.
Right.
Ownership is lower. He's the better prospect.
$1,500 cheaper.
1,500 cheaper. Like, why is Clark? It just doesn't make sense. And I get it. If Clark Schmidt outscores them, great. If 4,500 Brandon Pfaadt goes out at 6% projected rostership and is the 27th best prospect for a reason and just dominates Miami, who's been a bottom 5 offense in strikeouts or top 5 in strikeouts, bottom 10 in every offensive category against righties. If he mows them down, we're cooking with something. Right. If at $4,500.
Just to kind of drive home your point a little bit here for Clark Schmidt. I mean, obviously last year, 5 starts, or how many starts did he make for the Yankees here? Sorry, 29 appearances, 3 starts, 5-5 for him. He was really good against righties still. Even last year, 35 total innings, 140 batters faced against righties last year, 192 average allowed against them there. So definitely a spot, held him to 250 WOBA last year, right-handed hitter. So that's just a trend that has continued onto this year when it comes to right-handed dominance there. So 29.4% strikeout rate for Schmidt this year against right-handed pitching. So right-handed hitting rather. So pretty decent numbers to your point there. But again, Pfaadt just being so much cheaper. And then, we have to sort of talk about the elephant in the room, Patrick Corbin, $200 cheaper than Clark Schmidt there. And in a matchup that has been any other lefty, basically, it seems like, and we were probably maybe not Madison Bumgarner, right? We probably wouldn't have gone that direction either. But for the most part this year, any other lefty, we're going ahead and throwing them against the Giants without even giving it a second thought. It's just that we see Patrick Corbin and we shudder a little bit, but Giants this season, 29.6% strikeout rate, 289 WOBA, 125 ISO, 231 batting average. And as we've pointed out, we like to joke about Patrick Corbin of old. Well, recent Patrick Corbin's kind of been okay. 3 starts in over 6 innings in the last 4. 2 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs, 2 runs, like serviceable. He doesn't get any wins. He's only got 1 win on the year, but this could be a ceiling strikeout game for him. He's had 6 in 2 of the last 3, and maybe they do sneak out a win here. So obviously he's probably the lowest rostered, I would imagine, of that group, but he's pitching well in a pitcher's park against a team that can't touch lefties.
Yeah, and the Giants are the highest projected team on the slate in terms of ownership. So, like, you said this, second highest, I guess, behind the White Sox, but, like, percentage points behind. to your point, like the last few nights, it's like, or the last few weeks, like you played the Orioles against Max Fried when everyone was on them. You played the Rangers to, it wasn't the best, but like
they came through against the bullpen, sort of.
they did knock Logan Gilbert out of the game and like gave the bullpen some issues. Like this is how you differentiate and be tournament winners. And I'm not, even if you don't play Patrick Corbin tonight, kind of like taking the stance of, well, Patrick Corbin's been better of late, and the Giants' offense doesn't hit lefties. Like, even if you just fade the Giants because you're giving Patrick Corbin the respect, plus marrying that with,
Right.
well, the Giants can't hit lefties, like, that's also getting
if
leverage
Patrick
on the
Corbin
field.
goes like he did against Pittsburgh, 5 1/3, 3 runs tonight. That's probably not enough for your San
Giant
Francisco
stacks.
stack.
Yeah, not at all. And then who knows? Like, San Fran could obviously get to the bullpen, right? Like, Washington's bullpen stinks, but it is a good point, John, because there's a 5.3 implied total for San Francisco. That's the third highest on the slate. They have the second highest ownership. Like, they're not expensive again. Everyone but
Scott is the only cheap.
guy
that's expensive on that team.
So like you can easily get to the Giants in any route you really take. But to your point, like Corbin's been better. They are not a good team against lefties. I think playing Patrick Corbin is one thing. You have to really get over that mental hurdle. But just fading the Giants because he's been good is another.
Who did Shamanaya pitch against recently that we're all like, if he doesn't do it here, he's never going to do it? And he actually pitched
Milwaukee.
Was it Milwaukee? It might have been Milwaukee. Didn't he kind of pitch okay there?
Yeah, I think.
Kind of.
You can look it up.
Yeah, I got it right here. Do you kind of
Milwaukee 3 earned, 6 Ks,
6 Ks, 5 innings. Right? If he goes out there tonight, Patrick Corbin, and gives you that line.
Yeah, that's a good.
16.5 fantasy points.
Yeah, that's a good line. I don't know about the strikeouts. I think Manaea, we both would agree, is probably better with missing bats than Corbin, but
I mean, at this point, they might be the same.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyways, not talking about a guy who's actually not even pitching for it.
actually, let's spend the rest of this stream just talking about Sean Manaea and all the good things about him.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think Corbin is worth a dart throw if you're making a couple of lineups here tonight, just to be different from the field. Again, a lot of factors playing in his favor, given how bad San Francisco's been against lefties in a pitcher's park here. Anyways, but yeah, Fott is where we're likely going at 4,500. Anybody else for you?
No one else for me.
All right.
I do want to just quickly. I meant to ask, what do you think of the George Kirby rostership coming in his way? He is the third highest projected pitcher tonight, 9,100. You and I kind of had like a debate. The strikeouts just kind of been down.
Play Texas, and you know what? We talked about it this morning too. Kirby's not as good as Gilbert, so
and he hasn't been missing bats.
Yeah, I'm fine running it back with a Texas stack. I stacked Texas 3 straight games, I think it was, against the Yankees, and didn't play them the night that like Nathaniel Lowe had a grand slam. So awful stuff there. All right, catcher spot here. Top guys there. We got Will Smith against a lefty and Lauer at 51. Salvi, we'll see if that game goes off, but he's been on fire right now. Where are we looking in the top half of the catcher position?
I mean, I think you can get to a lot of these guys. Like, I'd even throw Sean Murphy in there. Power against Pivetta is where I want to live. That's my real estate. So I can get to Murphy. I'm okay getting to Smith. Although they just haven't been good against lefties, Will Smith does have a long history of hitting lefties well. Salvi's been on a different planet. Mm-hmm. That's probably it. Like, you can get to Melendez, who is coming off the 4 RBI game, including the home run, as well. You could also play him in the outfield if you wanted to stack him and Salvi. But I think it's this next tier for me, this $3,000 tier. Langoliers, Grandel, Moreno.
Yeah, Moreno hitting 8th tonight after a 18-point fantasy outing there against last night for them. Pretty good. Pretty good.
What they're gonna do? Three guys hitting 315 on the year, 16 RBIs. So, like, you know what? We could really use an 8-hitter hitting 315 this year.
I'm checking to see. At least Lourdes Gurriel's back in the lineup tonight, hitting first.
Yeah.
After his day off yesterday. So, yeah, listen, I'm agree with you. If Grandal, if this game plays, I will go back to Grandal with you. I think that's fine. Lyles, ton of home runs. allowed this year. A lot of power for Grandal on that side of the plate for him. Moreno's $3,300. I'm in there. What was the other range that you were taking a peek at here? Was it are we interested in Reese McGuire at 21 or Maya at 21? One of those two guys?
Yeah, I don't dislike either of those guys if you're punting the position. I think they're both fine. Caratini as well. I know Caratini's been good against lefties. But he's hitting 310 over his last 10 games. He has some pop. So, like, there's a couple punt catchers I'd be okay
getting. Okay. I'm just going to mention him for the sake of mentioning him, but Tom Murphy does have 3 2-hit games over the last 4.
He had, what, 1 hit going into that stretch?
He was very, very
I actually think he had 1 hit going into that, for that stretch.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll even play tonight, but again, we're just talking.
Seattle lineup just came out, actually.
Okay.
Tom Murphy hitting 7th.
Okay.
And I actually think, now that you mention it, I actually think that there's BVP.
There should be
2 home runs off Andrerini.
Yeah, he had historically hit lefties very well.
Yep.
This year he wasn't hitting anybody. So, and even those 6 hits in the last 4 games, I think only like 1 was off a lefty. So, yeah, just punt play catchers, 3,100 guys potentially in play. Probably just going to lock in Moreno here and
probably
move along.
Probably.
First base up top here. We talked a lot. You have the numbers maybe available or could pull them up. Nick Pivetta against lefties.
Yep.
That was our spot against him. Again, I didn't like the matchup against Cleveland. I think it was for going up there, but Olsen a bit different animal here when it comes to power.
Yeah, lefties this year, 940 OPS, 397 WOBA against Pivetta. Olsen, 8 home runs have come against righties, 423 WOBA. 3 of their first 4 hitters, the Braves, that is, over 420 WOBAs against right-handed pitching this year. Acuna, Olsen, and Sean Murphy.
Pretty decent.
Pretty good. All of those guys, incredibly expensive. So good luck fitting all 3 of them, but it is worth mentioning they just match right.
Well, your cheap Giants Brave stack, could come into
true.
And we're also playing a $4,500 pitcher potentially as well. So
we are not potentially. We are
not impossible. Christian Walker was our favorite chalk of the night last night. He came through, homer and a double. Yep. Homers in 2 straight, gets another lefty matchup. I'm fine throwing that against Luzardo.
Same. I mean, Luzardo, he's good, right? He's been good.
He has talent. He's not pitching well, but he has. We know there is electric stuff there somewhere.
Yeah, he's not untouchable. 790 OPS, 342 WOBA to righties. That's Christian Walker has a 451 WOBA against left-handed pitching. Good luck getting that guy out.
Yep. Pasquantino again, if he's in the line. I mean, if he's in the line,
hitting second. Hitting second. Yeah.
Hitting second. If this game plays, definitely a big fan of that against Giolito here at $4,100. I didn't intentionally skip over Roddy Tellez, but he's there against Syndergaard at $4,600 as well. Likely a pretty strong play for us here. And then Cronenworth, if you can avoid the strikeouts, $3,700 for him there against Varland.
Yeah, I like him in second. That's a good lineup spot. They moved Bogarts down to 5th. They're kind of, I think, chopping up their lineup righty lefty. So I like that. I there is a lot of really interesting value in my eyes though against at first base.
Are you locking in Noda here against Clark Schmidt?
Very close. So currently, if I were to share my screen and you were to look at my DraftKings lineup, it says Ryan Noda and JJ Bleday. Those are the only 2 players that I have currently listed in my lineup. Dude, Ryan Noda has been good. Hitting second again tonight. We've mentioned it kind of ad nauseum. Clark Schmidt stinks against lefties. Ryan Noda, 395 WOBA against righties. All of his power, all of his home runs have come against right-handed pitching.
Yeah.
Short porch in Yankee Stadium. The middle of this lineup for Oakland ain't nothing to F with, it is good, dude. I don't know. Ryan Noda is a good player. There's power. Yes. To answer your question, I'm fine. But Andrew Vaughn hitting second against Jordan Lyles, I love. Emmanuel Rivera, who we could play at third, 3,100 hitting second against a lefty again. 2 for 5 with a double last night. 12 And
Kirilloff hitting cleanup.
Kirilloff hitting 4th, dude. Like, and I'm a sucker for Alex Kirilloff. Like, that's been my
you're
guy.
a sucker for Minnesota stacks. So.
True. Yeah. So like things couldn't be worse that he's hitting 4th. Like that is for me, that is worst case scenario that he's hitting 4th. Like that. So I mean, there's a lot of really good value at first, right?
I would agree with you. I mean, even going all the way down, like, Casas is 23, Mervis 23, Hosmer 22. All possible lineup spots there. Matt Carpenter's hitting 6th tonight. I mean, that's $2,900. That's not bad. So a lot of value at first, a lot of spend top tier guys there as well. Pretty deep position at first base tonight. Second base, again, Simeon does a lot of his damage here against right-handed pitching last night. He's the one that kind of got to Gilbert there, 2 for 4 to run, stolen base as well. Double-digit fantasy points in 4 straight. If you're going in that direction, he's there. And then we go into that sort of mid-tier range of guys where, Gleyber Torres, Ozzy Albies, as you mentioned, Brandon Drury gets the lefty in Valdez. Christopher Morel called up from AAA, a ridiculous amount of power output there at the minor league level this year, hitting 8th tonight against Flaherty in Chicago, though. Pretty decent spot for him there. So second base is mid-tier in value. Pretty interesting tonight.
Yeah, I'll throw Ketel Marte in there. He's been really, really good against lefties. I know he's very expensive, but it is kind of.
How did he ever hit all those home runs 5 years ago? What happened?
Yeah, that was the juice. That was the juice ball era. Like there was like random home run seasons from people, but the one thing he hasn't slowed down doing is hitting lefties. So we've kind of been
$5,600 though.
Probably a little too pricey, but $370 WOBA against lefties this year, hitting leadoff, like maximizing
his money, I want a guy that I know can either double dong me or 2 stolen bases.
Fine. I'll give you that. Like Estrada, 5,500. If you were to play anyone in that range, it's like probably Estrada.
We can't hit lefties either, though. These numbers are trash against southpaws.
They are not as good as they are against righties, which is very interesting. It's like some people just have the weirdest splits. Gleyber, we kind of alluded to last night that he has power against lefties. That was just kind of what he did. And it came through. He's been a little bit better lately. My theory on the lineup did not come true because they still have
off. Yeah,
they took LeMahieu just out of the lineup. I don't understand managers. Again, it's like we talked all that extensively about Lourdes Gurriel. Mark asked a question yesterday. Lourdes Gurriel, can he do it again? Not in the lineup. Hit home runs in 3 straight games. LeMahieu just hit a home run last night. You know what? Here's an idea. Let's take him out of the lineup. He'll be our weapon off the bench tonight. What do you guys think? Yeah, that's a great idea. Like, is that what's happening? Why isn't take Volpe out of the lineup? Yeah. He's not hitting.
They want to keep the young kid in there, man.
I know, and Judge, maybe the protection that Judge gives him, but Gleyber hitting 4th is fine. Brzezinski's been bad. He's been worse against lefties, but he's been bad in both starts against both. Sure.
Value plays. Emmanuel Valdez is $2,700. I think we kind of agree like he's okay for a punt play there. Yep. Anybody else for you?
This position kind of stinks tonight. Brendan Donovan's okay against Jameson Taillon. You could play Cronenworth at second base. Thankfully, I was sick of this BS. I would probably play Luis Arias if I'm not playing Brendan Pfaadt. Pfaadt didn't look good in his debut.
No.
He is obviously a highly touted prospect, but that doesn't obviously translate for everybody.
Brett Miller,
Right. And Luis Arias is hitting .414 in 32 games. Like, that is a real number. He is actually just
defending batting champion. He's trying to win in the National League. So
if I'm not playing Brendan Pfaadt, would it shock literally anybody if he went 4 for 4 tonight? Right? Like, no, he has a 447 WOBA against lefties. He's hitting 425 against righties. Like, no, I mean, I think the guy is he's nailed. So, I would
3-hit game against Chicago. He only had 9 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously not great, but there's also the opportunity.
This guy would be a great Washington National. I said that often.
Matt Sells, get on the phone.
8 total extra base hits here for Luis Urias on the year. So
yeah, I'm not saying he's he's going to go crazy and break a slate.
He doesn't even steal bases. He just singles you. He's like, at least Tony Gwynn back in the day stole bags. Like this guy's just gonna hit 400 and not do anything. Just choking up on the bat. Just slapping singles.
R.I.P. I think it's actually Tony Gwynn's. Would have been Tony Gwynn's birthday today. So R.I.P. to
Really?
Tony Gwynn.
I didn't even know that.
I believe it was either today or yesterday. I don't know my days, John.
Talking to me. Birdie's fine at 3K. Vargas hitting 6 for the Dodgers. Again, more reasons why like Lauer is kind of interesting. Vargas is hitting 6 for them tonight. I mean,
it is something. I mean, Vargas has been a little better, especially when you're talking about like extra base hits. He has 7 extra base hits over his last 10 games.
Yeah. All right, third base. Top guys are all there. All right, Devers, Riley, we're in. Machado, we like.
Yep.
So you can basically just throw a dart. Muncy obviously has the lefty-lefty matchup. Maybe he ranks last of that 4, but
probably
all of them are very much in play here. On the mid-tier spot down here, we got, again, Suarez. He has so much variance in baseball. Doing a Schmidt-Fott combo. You'll have $1 billion left over tonight, sir, if you go in that direction.
Well, you just play Braves.
Yeah, you play anybody you want.
You can stack everybody you want.
You'll have all the money. True. Again, Suarez has the home run upside against a home run pitcher in Heaney at $3,100. Like, if you're not pitching Heaney and you don't like third base, you can one-off him. I think a lot of people just go to Rivera. Again, $3,100 has that third base eligibility, hitting second tonight.
Yep.
2 more hits last night, a double, 2 runs, a lot of reasons just to keep plugging in Rivera there and kind of moving on. I mean, Madrigal's leading off at $2,400 tonight. I agree, not great, but like there's not much else. Like, I'm comfortable $3,100 Rivera, and just if I'm not spending up for Devers or Riley tonight and just moving along.
Yeah, I mean, I got 3 guys for you, and obviously Rivera's included. Chris Taylor, who has shortstop eligibility, we'll probably talk about at the next position. But also eligible at shortstop, Maikel Garcia, hitting 4th tonight, John. So if we're not playing Taylor at short or third,
he's not in that lineup today.
Let us like the vegetable. Take a look.
Let's see. What's leading off? Perez, Dozier, no Prado.
Oh, what a miss! What a miss! He is the GOAT.
Lefty would have been lefty against Giolito too. No Prado.
Well, Maikel Garcia hitting 4th.
They're playing 3 catchers.
Very interesting. That is a bold strategy.
One is an outfielder, but I mean like 3 catchers.
Yeah, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. Right? Yeah, I mean, hitting 4th, Braves is who I stack. Ryan, we salute you with all the dollars that you're going to win at the end of the night. Also, happy Tuesday, Ryan.
Olsen, Riley, Acuna, ship it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. But I think those 3. I mean, you mentioned
Chris Taylor's a good call. Chris Taylor's a good call. Hitting 4th again, like
it's been all or nothing.
He's hitting 4th. Vargas hitting 6th. I mean, this is Chris Taylor's not. You think Dodgers lineup? Chris Taylor is not your cleanup hitter for the Dodgers.
No.
That's not what you're expecting here. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, Max Muncy, Miguel Vargas, James Outman, Trace Thompson, Miguel Rojas. I mean, like, I'm from KC. Weather looks pretty bad here. Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's kind of what Roth is saying too.
And let's turn to Ryan with the weather in KC. We should have just thrown
Open your window, Ryan. Let us know what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Stick your hand out there. Is it wet?
You lick your finger, right? Get a little. Is that what happens, right?
Yeah, something like that. Go pull some grass in your lawn. Let us know what direction it's going.
Yeah, true.
All right. So on to, again, ugly. I'm not. James, make sure I don't play Eric Lauer tonight. Just make sure I don't do it. But that lineup doesn't.
You're gonna throw in. You're gonna throw a sneaky lineup in by the end of the night. You're gonna send it to me. It's gonna be like 7:30. I can do nothing about it, and it's gonna be like Rangers stack,
Eric Lauer,
Rangers,
and
Rangers and a Rangers stack again. Just like
Astros against Ohtani.
Yep,
and we're off.
Yep, that probably sounds accurate.
That's how you win $1 million.
Yes, yeah, sure, yeah. If you're a DraftKings, it's you only in the contest, and DraftKings are the ones winning all the money because you're just donating to them.
True. As my buddy says, every night DraftKings comes in third due to all the rake that they take in these contests, anyways. So
nice.
Anyways, shortstop here. Adames is at $5,300. We called it on the show yesterday. He's been horrible, but what does he do? He hits righties when he's at home. He faced a righty at home. He homered. So Noah Syndergaard here, not missing bats. He's $5,300. Is this the turnaround spot here for Willy Adames?
I don't know if it's because we just haven't gotten, like, the Brewers are just like on a. Are we missing something here with the Brewers?
Probably.
Because looking at Syndergaard this year, he's not missing bats, as you mentioned. Righties hitting 288, lefties hitting 321. Righties have a 337 WOBA, lefties have a 378 WOBA.
I don't think Andy played more Milwaukee than you and I this year.
No, we've already deemed them our twins of this year.
Back-to-back games too. Ooh.
And now is at home.
He's heating up.
And is at home against a righty.
Sheesh.
Rowdy Tellez, Christian Yelich. I wish Jesse Winker wasn't batting second because
somebody has to steal a base against Syndergaard too, right? He's allowed the most stolen bases for opposing pitchers. I mean,
Bryce Terang. That's my stolen base call. If I'm calling if we're getting a stolen base out of Milwaukee, it's Terang or it's Yelich.
How many steals does Yelich have this year?
7.
Yeah, you know what? Probably is going to be Christian Yelich.
The problem is he has to get on. He has, however, been getting on. He also has stolen a base in 2 straight games. To your point. Oh, we're doing it live on air. John Impemba at JMpemba777 and James Grande at _real_Grande tuck themselves in to a Milwaukee Brewers stack that scored 2 runs on Tuesday night.
Bryce Terang only plus 240 for a stolen base tonight. That's
pretty good odds.
That's pretty good odds for steal. I gotta tell you. I love me some Brewers all the time. Anyway, so Adames is there at $5,300. Yep. Mid-tier guys. I'll give Volpe another shot. I'll give him another shot here. Yeah, lead off. Judge is back. Stolen bases. Rosinski on the mound. Sure.
Stolen bases. Just have to circle back 2 stolen bases because that's the only thing he's done all year.
He hits leadoff. He steals bags. He's in the leadoff spot, and Judge is there, and he might steal bags
in front. Yeah, but will he steal a bag in front of Judge?
No, he knows. I clicked on Nick. I'm mad, but we're out. Taylor, we mentioned already hitting 4th. Garcia. Nate. Nato's $2,500. Way back when Miguel Rojas did hit lefties pretty well.
He did.
He's not hitting anybody now, but back in his Miami Marlin days.
Yep. At his peak, yeah.
Guy was just a dynamo there. So I got nobody else down here. Anybody?
If I'm playing Royals, I would obviously include Bobby Witt just for the sheer upside that he has.
Sure. All right. Outfield. Acuna.
Yep.
Anything else?
Judge. I know he's just coming back. Rudzinski's not a good. He's not a.
Yeah.
At this point, he's just not a.
Yeah.
He's been around. He's 34 years old, John. He spent time in the KBO for 5 seasons. I remember playing him during the pandemic, during KBO baseball. That was the best. He was good in the KBO. He was not good this year. He's just wasn't good in AAA before he got called up. Isn't good in major leagues since being called up. Mm-hmm. The Yankees, although it hasn't made any sense on what they've done this year with injuries and people, they're not rushing Aaron Judge back. So if he's not healthy, so I would get to Judge if I'm playing Yankees.
Okay. More guys in this range. Again, Adolis not a great last night. Most of Texas struggled, but Kirby is not Gilbert, and Adolis is hitting righties way better than lefties this year. Yep. Corbin Carroll hitting 6. We talked about it. He was hitting lefties pretty well this season. Oh man, Minnesota against Waka, Buxton, Kepler, Kirilloff, Polanco. We're kind of
Yeah.
in, kind of in,
No, we're in. We're
kind of
just
in a little bit on Minnesota here against Waka.
yeah, we're in. Lefties are killing Waka this year.
Yoshida's got a 16-game hitting streak going right now, so
Might as well just hand him the rookie of the year now, right? Like, there's no point in like even the race.
I mean, a quick rack of my brain, I can't think of another rookie. I mean, I guess if Bryce Young keeps throwing shutout baseball, that could be a spot for him. But no, I would largely agree with you here. Lefties this year too against Charlie Morton, 500 slug, 384 WOBA.
Devers, yeah, makes that
Yoshida, Verdugo, Duran. The other day, how many lefties they got tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lefties, 7 lefties in the lineup tonight. Turner and Kike Hernandez, the only 2 righties. So, Charlie Morton could have something coming to him here this evening. So
he sure could.
Good. So we're fine there. All right. What other guys are on your radar?
In the 4K range, Luis Robert hitting 3rd tonight, John. If that game
plays, yeah.
If we get a report from Ryan that the weather's looking good out there, no Tim Anderson tonight, so everything shifted up. Everyone just moved up one spot for the White Sox. Like, we had the Robert, Sheets, Grandal stack 4-5-6 last night. That is now 3-4-5. So Robert hitting 3rd, 4,600. I love because I think the White Sox are in such a good spot here. Rest of the 4K position, Newt Bar I like leading off a lot. 4,400. I think he's been pretty good. 343 average, 3 stolen bases over his last 10 games. Bellinger hitting 4th for the Cubs.
Tonight, yeah.
Is a great spot against Flaherty. We know how much Flaherty struggled. Brian Anderson, if you're in on the Brewers, he also is a guy who's hit righties better. He's slowed down drastically, but Noah Syndergaard has not been good against any split. And then I guess like the thing about playing Oakland is like I want to play Brent Rooker if I'm playing Oakland, right? Like he's
you're not gonna play Noda and
Bleday.
And Bleday without the connection there, right? So he's been too good against all splits.
He has been so good against every split for sure.
So yeah, you're gonna have to play him more. I mean, Astori's 37. Again, we talked about him. Just the run that he's been on, double-digit fantasy points in 5-6. So it's weird that a lot of people are going Schmidt, but I guess I understand it if he's been so dominant against righties. Duran up to 5th, hitting 5th at $3,700 is there. We talked about Kepler leading off at 38. You've been a big Bader fan, $3,600, still hitting 5th for him.
Yep, love it.
Let's see. There's your Bleday play. Austin Slater's leading off. Huh? Interesting. 27.
So he's actually was in Colby Conway's value article today. He said lefties well his whole career. It's been like just a thing. He hits lefties. He is also a guy that we will see that gets pitch hit for. Like as soon as there's
Lamonte Wade comes in as soon as the righty
literally as soon as Lamonte Wade or as soon as Patrick Corbin comes out of that game, Lamonte Wade's just batting for him. Like it's just and vice versa. Lamonte Wade it'd be the same thing if with Slater back. Like Lamonte Wade would be getting pinch hit for if there was a lefty or if there was a lefty that
game. Sheets had 2,500 hitting 4th tonight. He homered.
Love it.
Again, all weather contingent here on this Kansas City Chicago game.
Yep.
Let's see. Rosario's 2,500. We've talked about lefties against Pivetta. I was hitting 5th. I mean,
yep. Great value. Such a good value.
I mean, good.
He's been so good
here. So
yeah, he's been so good. 343 over his last 10.
Yeah.
He's a good hitter. People sleep on Eddie Rosario. I think.
Remember, he couldn't see. Didn't he have he had eye surgery?
Couldn't see. Couldn't see. He had a horrible last year. Couldn't see, and now he clearly can.
You see, he was hitting 6th tonight for the Yankees.
Yes, Jake Bowers.
That's a name I haven't seen in forever.
I will say, like, I know.
Jake Bowers.
Dude, look at the Yankees roster. At one point, Jake Bowers, Frankie Cordero, and Willie Calhoun, all like ex-former prospects, all on the team. The Yankees just trying to literally figure out anybody to do anything for them. Didn't happen. Didn't happen too well.
Yep, I'm with you there. All right, we got a couple more minutes left in the show here. Why don't we go ahead and build out some lineups? A favorite part of everybody's day here, James. We get to go ahead and build out a lineup. Before we do that, I just got to let everybody know that it is best ball season here, and we're helping you draft winning teams on Fantasy Alarm and with the Better Sports Network. Check out our first best ball fantasy football draft featuring some of our top analysts, such as Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper, Britt Flynn, and Corey Parsons. You can find that on YouTube, on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube and the Better Sports Network YouTube. I also did the write-up recap. You can find that over on Fantasy Alarm. You can learn winning draft strategies and find out which players you need to have on your fantasy football teams this season. You go to fantasyalarm.com/underdogfantasy using promo code FANTASYALARM. When you're signing up, you get 100% deposit match up to $100. So again, fantasyalarm.com/underdogfantasy using promo code FANTASYALARM. And you can get up to $100 deposit match there as well. If you're watching, you can also go ahead and scan that QR code on the screen right now. Take advantage of the promo offer. We're doing a whole bunch of best ball drafts right now over at Underdog. So make sure you get in on that action. Fantasy football season already here, James. Kind of wild to think about it. So
yeah, you've done how many drafts? 57?
I'm up to like 10. First draft I finally done without getting Dalvin Cook in the 5th round. So
sorry. Sorry to hear that.
All right, we're excuse me. Using font. we're using font. We're using.
Don't
Ohtani,
fight it.
right?
Don't fight it. Yeah,
right?
Don't fight it. Don't fight it.
Okay. Font
Ohtani.
Are we doing Minnesota? Or are we doing Milwaukee?
No.
What are we doing?
So here's my. I don't have a full lineup.
Sure.
But my lineup is the 2 pitchers that we currently have: Ryan Noda,
okay,
Willy Adames, JJ Bleday, and Christian Yelich. That's the 4 people or the 6 players that I have in my lineup. There's $4,400 a player remaining. I feel really bad if we don't have like a Brave.
Yeah.
I'd feel, but like we are not playing. The problem with playing Noda is like taking away. I feel like I'm taking away from myself by not playing like a first baseman, but
playing a good first baseman.
Whoa!
Hey,
he's actually been pretty good. So we don't have to play Noda though. That was just how I constructed my lineup.
A quick lineup together here. So I got $5,800 for a third baseman and an outfielder.
58 for the outfielder, and I mean Devers and.
I mean, you wanted to do Riley? Did you want to do Devers or Riley?
Well, Riley can probably get us more because he's a little cheaper. What can Riley get us?
We're short. We're short on Acuna if we play Riley.
We're short on Acuna.
We get $6,100
for an outfielder. We're also short on Judge. That's unfortunate. Where can we move? Move off Yelich.
Well, we can go down to Reese McGuire and just punt catcher, and then we had a $7,300 outfielder, which is Acuna. And we got $800 left over, man.
Yeah, I mean that's ugly, but it'll work.
Well, you're the one who wants to play Oakland here, so
hell yeah, we're playing Oakland. We're an Oakland fan. This is the Oakland fan club stream. Nobody can say that anyone plays more Oakland than this live stream right here.
That's probably true. That is probably true. All right, so this is James's lineup here.
Get the heck out of here.
We'll continue to give lineup advice in our premium Discord. Again, if you're not yet a member, sign up below. FantasyAlarm.com/all-pro, promo code MLB50. We have a 7-day free trial going on right now, so really no reason not to give it a try. 50% off the first 6 months is $19.98 a month. Through the first 6 months, it takes you through the first month of the NFL season, and you get all of our premium content, not just the MLB DFS, but NBA, NHL, NFL when that starts up, MMA, PGA, NASCAR. We cover it all here at Fantasy Alarm. So go ahead, click the link in the description, subscribe, do all the good stuff here, become part of the Fantasy Alarm family. James and I will be back for Wednesday. Get us in the Discord.